Hey guys, welcome to the second part in the review of these AKG mics. These are the C451s. In the last video, we looked at what happens when you mic the hi-hat or ride directly, and we looked at building up the mix of the individual cymbal miking, bringing that in with the overheads and the rest of the kit. In this video, we're going to take a look at the high-pass filters on these microphones and see what kind of effect they have. So as I mentioned in the last video, these microphones do have two switches on them. The first is a pad, so there's an attenuation of -10 or -20 dB, or you can have it off of course. And I needed to switch these to the -10 level because it was just so hot. The signal, based on how close they were to the cymbals, they were clipping on the ride, so I switched them to -10. In this video, we're gonna look at that second switch, so the high pass filter. It's got three settings it can be in: off, 75 Hertz and 150 Hertz. So that's the frequency at which the crossover point is for the high pass filter. It's going to drop off the low frequencies and pass through the high ones. Now, while these are the first microphones I've ever used that have high pass filters, I do typically roll off low end frequencies on almost everything I record. Now, that might be just say 20 Hertz and below on certain sources. You know, I'm not going that aggressive on my bass drum or on my snare or on my toms. I'm just kind of trying to clean up a little bit of the low end below what you can really hear, below like the fundamental signal source for those instruments. But for the overheads and the ride and the hi-hat, I do typically go a little bit more aggressive. In fact, if you listen to the audio from the last video in this series, you probably noticed that there was too much of the bass drum sound in the overheads, that there was maybe a little bit of proximity effect going on the hi-hat, and it's just a little too much low end ringing just going on generally on the ride. Now, I didn't do any EQing on those cymbal sources on that last video because I really wanted to wait till here to be able to see how much of an effect those high pass filter switches are going to do. I want to see if it's going to help clean things up, if it's going to make it so that I don't have to use the EQ in post, or maybe in post I just don't have to be as aggressive with the EQ anymore. So I'm going to play several beats for you. I'm going to go through each of these beats a few different times, and we're going to go through the different high pass filter settings each time. We're going to start off with the high pass filter off, and you're going to hear just the hi-hat. Then I'll play it again at the 75 Hertz setting, and then it'll be the 150 Hertz setting, just hi-hat, then full mix. Then we'll switch over, we'll do the same exact thing with the ride. So what did you think about the actual application of these high pass filters? Did you think that maybe they were too aggressive, not aggressive enough, that this might be good in a live situation, or in recording that you still want to have full control? Or maybe you feel that this is gonna allow you to take some EQs off your mix. Let me know what your thoughts were in the comments below. So as I mentioned earlier, this is the second video reviewing these AKG microphones. In the third video, in the third part, we're going to be comparing these mics against a cheaper microphone also made by AKG. What I want to see is whether or not the big price difference between these microphones are worth it. So if you don't want to miss out on that review video and other review videos like this, then don't forget to subscribe.